Moving to Syria now, where the de facto leader Ahmed al-Sharaa said this Thursday that his country was ready to welcome UN forces into the UN-established buffer zone with Israel. Meanwhile, Qatar's prime minister, who was visiting, vowed to support the rehabilitation of Syria's infrastructure, devastated by nearly 14 years of civil war. This was his first visit to Damascus since the fall of Bashar al-Assad. Let's cross live now to Damascus and our senior reporter there, James Andre. James, first, can you tell us a little bit more about this declaration by Syria's new leader on welcoming those UN forces on that buffer zone?
Yes, absolutely. This Israeli presence in southern Syria is a thorn, if you will, in Hayat Tahrir al-Sham's side at the moment. It is something that, of course, is very commented here in Syria. And indeed, Ahmed al-Sharaa has made it quite clear that what he wants to be is a good neighbor to Israel. But in the meantime, he can't really accept to have these forces that have entered inside Golan. So he was answering a question by a journalist, and he said that indeed this presence was warranted by the fact that there were some Iranian-backed militia operating in Syria. He's saying, well, that is now over. So he says that indeed Israel has to move back to the 1974 line that was defined. And indeed, he is now saying that he would welcome the presence of UN forces in that buffer zone in Quneitra along the Golan Heights. Now, of course, it is putting pressure. Why? Because these forces that are in southern Syria are very present, that indeed witnesses are telling us that they are seeing the Israelis dig some trenches in that area. Also, there have been some strikes on Hayat al-Sharaa fighters in that area, those who are getting too close to the Israeli position. So indeed, this is a simmering tension that is very much present on that line, and something that indeed Ahmed al-Sharaa would like to see fixed. And indeed also Prime Minister Al-Thani from Qatar also said that indeed, in his view, Israel needed to leave Syrian soil. For now, both Israel and the United States are saying that this presence is temporary and that Israel will indeed move back to its previous positions, but there is no time frame that has been given for that at this stage.
Now, James, you were in Syria over a month ago, right after the fall of Bashar al-Assad, and you saw firsthand the euphoria on the streets of Damascus and beyond. But now it seems that sectarian tensions are on the rise.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, after this initial, I'd say, honeymoon period with the fall of Bashar al-Assad, and people telling us a month ago that anyone would be better than Bashar al-Assad in power here in Syria, of course, now the tough questions are starting to arise. One of them, of course, is securing the city. Now, one of the big difference compared to a month ago is that a month ago there were a lot of men in arms that were part of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham who were, across the city securing the main squares, securing strategic locations. Well, they have very much disappeared. And one of the challenges for the new interim government that is there is to create a new police force, for example. This is one of the promises that Ahmed al-Sharaa made. He said, we will take the armed men off the streets and we will put police back. Now, for now, this police is very much being built, if you will, and pretty much from the ground up, simply because, well, all the former police officers have been basically put on hold. They are not working at the moment. They're being investigated to see who took part in repression, and of course they were close to the former regime, so it's unclear what will happen to them. And for now, it is the men of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham who are taking these police functions. We were today in a police station with Ashraf Abid, and what we saw were, of course, a rise in crime simply because there was a bit of a vacuum. So we saw someone arrive with, for example, a handful of false $100 bills. So it appears that this is a very real problem. There is fake money in circulation here. Also, another man whose garage or hangar had been literally stolen by his neighbor, who just opened a hole in the wall. So all this crime is ongoing, and of course Hayat Tahrir al-Sham was a force of 7,000 people up in Idlib, and that of course is very few to hold a territory as vast as the one they are in control of now, including a city like Damascus. But that is only one of the challenges. Another one, of course, is the economy, which is in a dire situation. A lot of people are out of work, including a lot of people who were close to the former regime, and that of course is another challenge, and that is lifting sanctions in order to enable aid to enter the country at this stage. And yes, there is sectarian tension. We've seen it with the Druze in the south, who have brokered a kind of deal with Hayat al-Tahrir al-Sham, but on the other hand are indeed still holding on to their weapons. We are seeing protests in the Alawite regions where they're saying that they have problems with foreign fighters. There have been violence. Indeed, there was a hostage situation just yesterday here with a man who took some Hayat Tahrir al-Sham men hostages, said that he would indeed kill them if HTS fighters did not leave the village where he was, and this ended up with this man blowing himself up as these soldiers were freed. So you see, there is simmering tension. There are a lot of questions as to how the country can unify at this stage, and of course there is the question of the Kurds, and what we are being told here is that that is an ongoing negotiation. As you know, there is fighting along this line in the northeastern part of the country between Turkish-backed militia and the Kurds, and the idea is to try and have, this is very much the objective for Ahmed al-Sharaa, to manage to disarm all this militia, all these armed groups in the country and unify Syria, but that's going to be very difficult, and they are very much waiting to see what the new administration under Donald Trump will do as they come in.